down at my community garden plot, and I thought I'd just give a little midsummer update about how things are going here, and so show some of the different plants. I've got some things that maybe people haven't seen or might be curious about, so I'm going to start with this guy right here. This is anise hyssop, which is an herb. It's reported to be perennial in a warm climate, which this is. And I grew it because I'm very fond of things that have an anise type flavor or fennel flavor, and this is one I'd never tried before, and now I have. The leaves are edible, and as are the flowers, and the flowers are an absolute treat. As with all these sort of mint family herbs, I don't know if that's in focus, the flowers are just succulent, they're like candy-like. The leaves are okay. They have the anise flavor. They're mild enough to eat on their own. This tomato's sort of in the way, but you can see that's a couple of feet tall, and that's sort of I think typical for how this plant grows. So definitely an interesting one, and one that I'm enjoying. And it's had no trouble coping with the 90-degree heat and all that. It's just gone very well. We're near a road, as you can tell. This thing back here, the tomato, is those are 3 Principe Borghese so-called determinate tomatoes, but as you can see, they are just vining out every which way, all over the place. They're loaded up with fruits, so this has been a very productive little plant. You can see I put a couple of 4-foot sticks in there to hold it up with jute twine. It's just absolutely groaning under the weight of these tomatoes, so doing very well. They're showing no signs yet of being determinate, which Gary Pilarczyk in one of his videos profiled this tomato, and he had the same experience, where it just kind of keeps growing almost like an indeterminate. And I'm letting it sprawl out every which way because there's no stopping it. The other thing I'll show is okra. So these are maybe not doing so well. I've got a row of these okra. I mean, they're doing fine. I've harvested probably, 4 or 5 pods off of each of these plants, even though they're only about 18 inches tall. They are yielding pretty well. I just see in other people's videos, they've got 4-foot, 5-foot tall, okra plants. So, okay, we're not there yet, but they're a hardy plant. And last year I grew okra all the way into October, and it kept producing for me, so I'm optimistic. Down below I stuck in some other stuff. I stuck in some vegetable amaranth, so we'll see how that goes. It's actually, for a leaf vegetable, I would say it's doing okay in the heat. This is a garden that I largely neglect, coming down here, once, maybe twice a week. So things pretty much have to fend for themselves, and these amaranth plants are doing just fine. The basil, mostly Thai basil, you can see behind there, has done pretty well. It's flowering though, and so it'll come out pretty soon. On the other side, we've got peppers, so maybe I'll just step over there. Sorry for making you motion sick. And we've got different things, Anaheim peppers. This is one called Carmen. I got a couple of really large peppers off of there. The largest peppers I've grown so far. They're about 12 inches long. And so I've got a row of peppers down here, and they're doing, okay, but a little bit slow, I would say. This thing that's looking kind of ratty is Lovage, and there's another one on the other side. But even though it is getting a little bit scorched, I think, by the heat, it's still growing, and it's got, you can look down in there, there's fresh new growth coming all the time, and I've been harvesting leaves off of this. It tastes like celery, but it's kind of more intense and a little bit more bitter. I like it. Yeah, it's still doing fine, even in the heat. One thing I think I tried, and I would say it's working out, is I wanted to do a little bit of vermicomposting, but I kind of didn't want to bother with a worm farm, and the guy who does the red worm composting website had done an experiment with a worm trench, where he dug a big trench in his yard, and his was like 2 feet wide and 18 inches deep, and he filled it up with different kinds of organic matter and put worms in it, and they did really well in there. And I thought, well, I'll try something like that on a smaller scale here in the raised bed, and see how it goes. And so what I've done is, now this is not pretty, but I'm going to pull this back. You can see there's a little bit of burlap sticking out there. That's a burlap flap that I've pinned down on the other side. So it's about maybe 10 inches wide or so, and it runs the length of the bed, and so I can pull that up, and then inside there you've got basically cardboard and different food scraps and stuff like that I put in there, and I added some compost worms, but the compost worms are doing okay, I think, but also there's just a whole different kind of flora in there, or fauna I should say, all different kinds of earwigs and bugs and grubs of every description, and they munch down on the food scraps and on the cardboard. I should say that with food scraps I'm not putting in anything that would attract rodents, so I limit it to like green leafy vegetable scraps and coffee grounds and things like that. So far everything seems to be doing just fine. So that's about it. Just a quick look at this little bed. It's maybe 4 feet by 12 feet, something like that. And I would say it's doing well, given the level of neglect that it's subjected to. All right, see you later.